So I've seen a few videos on the when you're replacing the struts on the Honda Odyssey, where there's a steering stabilizer link that goes between, I guess this is a anti-roll bar, and this goes up to the strut. The problem you have is this is the hardest thing in the world to get off. Quite honestly, so far it hasn't been worth it. I'm pretty handy, took plenty of auto shop in high school. I can replace parts with the best of them, but I've done a whole brake job and replacing the struts, and this has taken the longest time of them all, just getting this one little part off. You have to get it off to get the strut off, number one, and also you should replace them. They're a fairly inexpensive part, but the problem is they get really rusted. We're in Florida. We don't have a huge rust problem, but it does rust just like any other state. And there's nothing on the back side of this. I'll try to get some better video. Oh, I guess you can see it. There's a nut on this side. There's nothing on the back side of this. As soon as you hit it with a wrench number one, it just starts spinning. If you had them replaced more frequently than we did, this is the first time, then you may not have this problem. I've seen guys just use a normal wrench or ratchet and they're fine. Not the case here. There's also plenty of videos. I think Eric, the car guy, has one on his issues getting his off. The reason for this video is everybody points out that you can't get access to the lower part of this. The reason for it, it is down right next to the lower control arm. What nobody really points out, or what I just discovered, is if you have both sides free. If you see, what I did is just got frustrated and cut this. I can't think of any other way to do it. Let me go show you. Here's the strut here, and so yeah, I cut it right there. Use a Sawzall, but you can see, hit it with impact wrench there. There's nothing really. There's no. Some of them apparently have a little nut on the other side. This side clearly doesn't. But yeah, on the driver's side, I haven't fixed it yet. But on the driver's side, I tried getting just that little bit, just a little bit right there with vice grips, and it kept slipping. So, anyways, I cut it, soaked penetrating fluid overnight, and finally was able to get this one to spin. But again, sorry for the long drawn out conclusion, but the big thing I wanted to point out here is if you're having this issue, if you can get at least the top ones free on both sides, or if you decide, and I don't even know if I did the right thing, if you decide to cut them as well, but if you get both the bottom ones free, if you get both the top ones free, this whole sway bar lifts up, so you can see clearly I'm able to get some room. So a lot of guys are trying to cram wrenches and things down in here, so if you're doing one side at a time, that could be an issue. If you run into this issue, try to get to where you can get both sides free, where you can lift up. This whole anti-sway bar goes up and down like that. I think that'll be a big help for you. You can at least see how high I've gotten it. This is 6-8 inches higher than where it was. Number two, using my air tool, impact wrench would not physically fit in there, but my Milwaukee 18-volt impact wrench, which I didn't really think I would ever use, does fit. It's got a shorter head to it, shorter chain. I've got a adapter in there, plus the impact socket. Was able to get it to break free. I don't want to get ahead of myself. I'm not out of the weeds yet, but I'm halfway done. So, halfway enough to where I was able to pull this part out to get some really good grip with the vice grip. So, long story short, I'm sure I'll edit this a little bit, but I wanted to just point out that I was worried all last night of how I was going to get this off, and just know that you can lift this whole mechanism up and get some more access, if that helps you. So that did in fact work. You can see I've got the part here removed. This is the grip I had. Actually went a bit too far, but the grip I was able to get on it with the vice grips. And then the nut, of course, is on that side. There's the nut. Still a little bit warm. So hopefully that helps. I mean, I guess for me, one of the bigger issues was the clearance to get a tool in here. So just know that, again, if you have both sides loose at the top, if that makes sense, you have the two top ones off, then this whole sway bar lifts up, and hopefully you can get a little bit more room. You can see I've got like a little kind of a twisty tie thing holding it up there, and I'll go try to get the other side off next. Just real quick, what worked for me, this is a swivel socket adapter and just a short 17 millimeter impact gun. So the length of this was just barely enough to get it on the head, and so that worked out great. If you could reduce even this part here, I've got like a little adapter, that would be even better. But that was what worked for me.